Hi, this is Sal Tuzzolino, host and ringmaster of the Sports Circus, the big top of sports talk radio. Did you hear this?
You really got to watch out. You get in front of a big kangaroo, and he starts kicking, you're done.
Because that's going to happen here in Vegas or in Long Beach, right?
Yeah, it won't happen around here.
Clown around with us and stream the show online at thesportcircus.com. Join me and three-time NFL Pro Bowl safety and 12-year NFL coach Mark Carrier this Saturday morning at 8 here on NBC Sports 920, The Game. Okay, welcome back to the Sports Circus segment 2, Friday edition. The Saturday edition can be found on NBC Sports 920 The Game, Las Vegas, and you can also stream it live at thesportcircus.com, 8 a.m. Pacific time, or stream it live anywhere at, well, you can also go to our podcast. We have a podcast page as well. That can be found on the sportcircus.com website. This segment is brought to you by the American Business Trust Company, specializing in startup consulting, sales, marketing, investment capital, corporate strategy. Give them a call. 657-600-1876. Again, 657-600-1876, or go to abtrustco.com. Tell them the Sports Circus sent you. Get a special deal. I don't know what that is, but get a special deal. They're great people. They've been doing it for 25 years, and at the end of the day, your business will grow. If you're a startup company, they will help you get to the next level, whatever that means to you, whether it's a publicly traded company or you just want to grow in your own space. So, we left off talking about the NHL trade deadline winners. And we talked about the Detroit Red Wings, the Chicago Blackhawks, Washington Capitals, Pittsburgh Penguins, and Tampa Bay Lightning as all being winners. Also the Vancouver Canucks. Now, I don't really say their name very often because I don't like them, like Detroit. But I'll tell you this much. The general manager has been just terrible in Vancouver. He's just been horrible. He's made bad deal after bad deal, signing players, $36 million, 6 years. Louis Eriksson, he signed them this year, and Louis is a good player, but he's not $36 million good. So, and that's just the latest of his debauchery of the checkbook for the Vancouver Canucks. So, just a couple of days ago, we actually did the right thing for the team for a change. It's funny because I'm in a fantasy hockey league, and you get to pick players from every team. And it goes in a draft, whatever. And if I go and acquire a new player, if I'm looking on the trade block and see maybe I want to pick up a free agent, the entire Vancouver team is there. I've never seen that anywhere, and I've been doing this fantasy sports for a long time. But I've never seen an entire team, top to bottom, available. That's how poorly viewed they are to the hockey audience. And let's face it, the stadium where they're playing as well, I mean, look, those are very, very loyal fans. And the people that I know that are from Vancouver, they really stick with their team, and good for them. And so I'm actually happy they made a couple of good deals at the trade deadline. They got rid of Alex Burrows at, I think he's 34 years old. They ship him off to the Ottawa Senators. And I think Alex Burrows can add some value over with some of the other guys. Ottawa's not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. I think it was a terrible move on Ottawa's part, a great move for shedding salary on Vancouver's part, and they also get rid of Jannik Hansen. Jannik Hansen's a good player, but Hansen doesn't complement the team in the way that he used to do it back in the day. And Vancouver went to the Cup Finals a few years back, and, they didn't do so well. They lost to, I believe it was the New York Rangers. Nonetheless, the Canucks have had their day with the Sedin sisters, Daniel and Henrik. And we call them the sisters because they hit like girls. They don't play hockey like men. So the sisters are going to be next. They're 34 years of age apiece. They're twins, and it's time to move the twins out. The Vancouver should have got rid of them. They could have got a lot for them. But they get rid of Jannik Hansen. They send him to San Jose for some prospects, which the Vancouver system is badly depleted. And I do like the fact that the GM has saved a little face for himself. I think he might find himself out of a job at the end of this season, but I think these trades may give other teams hope that he is capable of making good deals, and so you may see him in another position at GM, potentially in Carolina, or we think of the teams that are in trouble right now, possibly the Buffalo Sabres, maybe the New York Islanders. And it's funny, the Islanders, I'm digressing here, but the Islanders, they made a nice move up, and they were really contending in the Eastern Conference. But over the last couple of years, they've made a couple of bad deals. They haven't had a ton of injury. They've just been managed very, very poorly. And so their move from Long Island, because they played in, they played up on the island, hence the Islanders. Then they moved down to Brooklyn to play in New York. And I think what they did was when the team moved to New York, into the city, I think they lost some of their long-term planning and how they were building the team. And unfortunately, New Yorkers, they want to win now. They don't want to win tomorrow. They want to win today. LA has the same problem. So when the New York Islanders and New York Rangers make deals, it's typically to please the fans, maybe not so much to please the system. And so a lot of the guys in the system, they suffer. And the Isles, well, let's face it, I don't think the New York Islanders have really made some great moves, and we'll get to that on the loser side, because they are on the loser side of the trade deadline ledger, without a question. And when I think of the teams that have made good moves, Vancouver makes a good move. San Jose picks up guys that they need. Did Jannik Hansen make a big impact for San Jose? I don't know. San Jose was in the Cup Finals last year against Pittsburgh. They played them fairly well, but at the end of the day, well, Pittsburgh ended up hoisting the trophy, so apparently they didn't play so well. So going back to the winners. In the Western Conference, the Minnesota Wild are leading the Chicago Blackhawks by 5 points, and they have one game in hand. Basically, that means 2 wins and an overtime. Get into overtime's worth 1, maybe an overtime loss. So, and plus they have one game in hand, and there's about maybe 20 games left in the season, and they do have to square off against one another again. So that means the Blackhawks could pick up an extra 2 points in the standings against them. But Minnesota really strengthened themselves by picking up Martin Hanzal from Arizona. We talked about them earlier in the trade deadline. And Arizona, they should have dumped everybody, which they certainly got rid of Martin Hanzal. And there was another sweepstakes for him. Another good player, a very good player. Some teams were really after him, but Minnesota made the biggest commitment, and they also pick up Ryan White. So they got a couple of strong players from Arizona. I'm surprised Arizona didn't move Mike Smith, the goalie, because this guy is leading the free agent market in save percentage, total saves, and I think in total wins as well. So Minnesota really strengthened themselves up front. Did they need it? I don't know. I think what they did was they basically tried to add some extra distance between them and Chicago, which they're probably going to have to play each other at some point in the postseason. And Chicago has gotten the better of them this year, and they've basically knocked them out of the playoffs the last 3 times they've seen them. So I think they've had enough of that. They want to get past the Blackhawks. But again, I mean, this is a very dangerous team, the Chicago Blackhawks, and we'll get to that in a minute. Now, the Calgary Flames pick up Mike Stone from Ottawa as another winner. And Calgary is one of those teams, they're a couple of points out of the last playoff spot in the wild card area. And I think that the Calgary Flames can make it with Johnny Hockey, Johnny Gaudreau, and Sean Monahan. They've got some good players. They're a little suspect at goaltending. I'm surprised that Calgary did not make a play for Mike Smith from Arizona, because their goaltending is very suspect. They score a lot of goals. They're a fun team to watch. They're very energetic, but you're only as good as your defense. And unfortunately, if you don't have a good backstop, you're in big trouble. Let's face it. You've got to have good defense, and that's what Pittsburgh did in the trade deadline. They shored up the defense a little bit. The Blackhawks did the same thing. They added to the defense. You look at the teams that add to defense, those are usually the ones that end up making the biggest splash. The Capitals pick up the number 1 free agent in Kevin Shattenkirk. Or the number 1, he'd be a free agent to be anyway. So the teams that have made the good moves, they shored up the defense. They weren't really looking to add offensive, because it's defense that wins championships. It certainly isn't offense, because let's face it, you could get lucky and score a goal, but the fact is you've got to stop the other team. If you can't keep the other team out of your zone, you got a problem. So you take a team like Calgary, I don't think they made a really good move, but they are a winner because Stone's a very good player. They picked him up from Ottawa. His plus-minus, meaning they score, how often the team scores when he's on the ice versus how many teams or how many goals are scored against when he's on the ice. His plus-minus is a little suspect. So that means he's not really a great defensive player. The guy can score. So really, Calgary added more scoring. They should have added defense. Do I view them as a loser on the trade deadline? No, because they pick up a great player. They didn't give up hardly anything to get him. But I don't like the fact that Calgary didn't pick up a goalie. And, Edmonton could have picked up a goalie as well. And, certainly we're going to get to that in the next segment. I just think that there are some things that we need to really explore when you're thinking about being a general manager for a hockey team. What the needs are, what needs to be addressed in the short run and the long run. And you think about protecting players, expansion draft. There's so much that goes into this. Toronto did a fantastic job by getting rid of Boyle and Fear, and that we'll get into in the next segment. Again, you are watching the Sports Circus here, Friday edition.